YouTube. I am sick of the Space Force blasphemy. Not only are they the smartest, the fastest, the strongest, but they are singly, hands down, the most important branch not only in our military, but every single military around the world. Did you know getting into the Space Force as an entry-level recruit is actually harder than becoming the US president? Did you know in 2014, Elon Musk wrote a suicide note and almost went through with it, and it stated the following: I just don't have what it takes to join the US Space Force. This Tesla shit isn't even worth it. But for real, today I'm gonna get a look into what the Space Force actually is, because we've memed it a couple times on this channel, and I feel like I should give it a proper try, right? I should give it the benefit of the doubt. And don't forget, before we jump too far into it, I'm running a Black Friday sale on my website, coldpressbricks.com. I sell the best organic soap and candles that you could buy. I know you haven't went Christmas shopping for your family yet. Don't put it off. You're a procrastinator. Just click the link in description, code SOAPYBFS. 35% off, biggest sale of the year. Don't miss out on it. Also, when Black Friday's over, I'm going to wrap all the gifts and record it and give you a personalized shout out. So if you guys want a personalized shout out, you know, buy stuff from my website.
This is the inside of a radome, playfully called golf balls by Space Force Guardians. These radomes house satellite dishes that help Guardians detect incoming missiles sent by foreign adversaries. A crucial piece of equipment that has saved hundreds of American lives.
It was the largest ever ballistic missile attack on Americans.
On January 8, 2020, Iran fired missiles at the Al-Assad Air Base in Iraq, where 2,000 American troops were stationed.
Our troops right here at Buckley were able to detect the missiles and then report the specific areas at risk at Al-Assad and afford the troops on the ground the opportunity to escape and get out of the way. And as a result, nobody died.
Since its inception in 2019...
Am I tripping, or was that genuinely the Space Force, or was it just the US Air Force before they like rebranded? Because I get like all the things they do are important, but like what are they new things that were created just for Space Force, or is it just Air Force's accolades and their accomplishments just said to be Space Force? You know what I mean? Am I tripping? I might be tripping. Someone correct me in the comments.
The United States Space Force has quickly become a crucial component of the US military. But many Americans still don't understand what exactly this branch does.
I like the idea of a Space Force. I mean, I don't know if we need it, and I'm sure there are better ways we could spend our money, but it sounds awesome. It really does.
In reality, Space Force Guardians work from bases on the ground to help protect assets up in space.
There's a possible event in Sector 52.
Insider was granted access to Buckley Space Force Base in Aurora, Colorado, to see how Guardians detect incoming missiles and to learn more about the newest branch in the US military.
Originally, my plan...
Bro, if there's any Space Force people watching this, hit me up on Instagram. I want to trade a challenge coin with you or a patch or something. Let me know. I got a bunch of Navy Marine Corps shit. I want some Space Force memorabilia on this wall. That's the only reason why I still talk shit about you guys, is I don't have any memorabilia to show off. So I'm resentful.
Was to go Air Force, but when I gave my job list to my recruiter, he's like, hey, all these jobs are either being transferred or are currently in the Space Force. Would you like to essentially switch from Air Force to Space Force? I immediately was like, yep, switch me.
All enlisted Space Force Junior Guardians start their career at Lackland Air Force Base. That's because the Space Force recently split off from the Air Force, creating the 6th official U.S. military branch.
So we transitioned from the Air Force to a Space Force to put that level of focus from a programmatic, resourcing, and manpower perspective, because at the end of the day, when it comes to the protection of the space domain, that focus is imperative.
After basic military training, Junior Guardians begin their specialized classroom training in a program called STARCOM.
Once I was done with basic, they immediately sent me over to Vandenberg. From there,
Okay, these fucking ranks they're wearing are sick. They literally look like they're out of a fucking video game. And why do... Okay, what we call those badges over the name tapes and the, your branch of service tape are warfare devices, right? And normally they're like something you get in the fleet, deployments, operational billets, whatever. Why are dudes who are going through boot camp already have whatever that is, unless Air Force doesn't treat that as an equivalent and it's just kind of like a badge.
Learned everything fundamental we needed to learn, from space training, from satellites to telescopes to simple stars.
Guardians move on to more hands-on training when they arrive at their assigned Mission Delta.
A Space Delta is a Space Force organization that is assigned a particular mission area.
Within the Space Force, the Operations Wing, or Space
That's fucking
Operations
sick.
Command,
This is cool.
has 9 mission deltas, each with a different focus. For example, Space Delta 6, known as Cyber Delta, focuses on cybersecurity.
From GPS to making payments on your credit cards, to making phone calls, to communicating with anybody in the world, all of that comes down to what we have available in space. And if those space assets are contested by adversaries or whatnot, we lose that ability to function at our peak performance.
The largest delta, Space Delta 4.
Give me one of these
is
fucking
headquartered
patches,
here
chat.
at Buckley Space
I know
Force
there's one of
Base.
you watching this.
The
Give me
Space
one of
Delta
these.
4's mission, per se, is to be able to protect, to guard against missiles, missile attacks launched against the United States, our allies, as well as deployed troops worldwide.
At Buckley, Junior Guardians do on-the-job training for 3 months in a mission management course.
And we'll just drill them with different experiences, different lessons, and we'll have them conduct operations on the simulator.
The simulator at Buckley uses real-life scenarios to train Guardians. Due to the sensitive nature of the mission, we were not permitted to film the screens, which could reveal top-secret areas of interest. But we were allowed to document a training session from an approved vantage point.
There is a possible vent in Sector 52.
We are being trained to be the first line of defense. We are learning how to correctly and accurately collect and identify the systems any of our adversaries can.
Okay, it's pretty obvious that Space Force is setting their actual enlisted members up for 6-figure jobs on the outside. Bro, every infantryman in the Marine Corps and Army is about to be homeless, and these dudes are gonna walk out with 6-figure jobs. These sound like such good credentials to have. We were already jealous of the Air Force and how much they just have a better quality of life. Space Force just sounds like they're shitting on the Air Force now. Is Space Force really the peak of like comfortability and desirability, you know? Like, if not having the traditional military experience or like sea stories doesn't faze you, this sounds like the right branch to go into, bro. Imagine applying to a job after being in the Space Force and, you know, being like, oh, what did you used to do for work? It's like, oh, cyber attacks on nuclear missiles. Oh, wow, nuclear missiles. Well, this is a Arby's. What?
Could be throwing at us.
To detect incoming missiles, Delta 4 uses a space-based infrared system, or SIBRs, 11 satellites in space that orbit around either the equator or poles and scan Earth's surface for heat anomalies. That infrared data is sent down from the satellites to these giant radomes, which house satellite dishes that are strategically pointed at areas of interest around the world.
Infrared data is presented in a way on our display panels, if you will.
Missile launch confirmed. Impact area located in Sector 42.
Junior Guardians call authorities to inform them of possible events, so they can alert the targeted areas.
52. How copy? This is Vortex out.
There's a lot of pressure, but they also teach us how to do it correctly and as calmly as possible.
Make sure we speak up a little bit, but great job getting confirmation of the missile launch. And finally, outstanding getting the information out to our allies and partners, making sure that they were all on the same page with us. Do you guys have any questions?
After Junior Guardians have finished their mission management training, they can begin their job on the operations floor. Due to the operations floor's 20...
These guys are living a real-life sci-fi movie. These guys are living a real-life fucking sci-fi movie. I'm taking back everything I said on the Space Force, and I think I was misinformed, because originally when we saw the Space Force first launch, and I made a video on it, it was just of their boot camp. And it was them like crossing a tightrope, using an M16 they'll never touch again in their life. And of course, everyone's criticizing them, being like, oh, look at these fucking losers. And now we're realizing that we're going to be begging them for employment when we get out, as we're homeless and they're making multiple six figures. I'm not even being facetious. This is cool as fuck. Bro, I go to work and I make an Excel of when people are due for their PHA. Rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat. These dudes are looking at like nuclear launch maps in other countries. What? This is like a campaign mission on the new Call of Duty. I'm kind of jealous. I'm kind of jealous.
24/7 active role in missile detection, cameras are rarely allowed. But we were able to observe a couple of Guardians as they kept watch over the radars.
What we do impacts almost everyone in their day-to-day lives, whether they're here, whether they're downrange, like it's life or death.
The mission is accomplished by the young men and women sitting at the operations floor. And we put a lot of trust and a lot of responsibility on these folks because we have trained them to be that good.
Right now in stage training, I'm still a little nervous because I am not fully confident in myself, but I know eventually later on in training, I will be able to do good on the ops floor.
This is a start of a new story.
Cut this out.
Space Force is the president's boldest idea that he got from a Buzz Lightyear Happy Meal toy.
When the Space Force was first announced, it became the subject of late-night punchlines. There's even a Netflix series poking fun at the branch.
The president is creating a new branch, Space Force, which Mark will run.
What? The show provides a framework of notional Hollywood ideas of what the organization is about. A lot of this misperceptions is just a lot of unknowns and curiosity about what Space Force is.
When in reality, the Space Force was created out of the recognition that space is so important to our way of life that it deserves to be protected.
The Space Force also gets confused with its civilian counterpart, NASA.
So NASA, being our exploration as well as scientific branch of the government, they're looking out beyond the stars, trying to look out, get all that scientific data, as well as looking at manned missions. On the Space Force side, looking more inwardly, making sure that we're looking terrestrially to help our ground forces, air forces, as well as our allies and partners.
People constantly ask us, or if they see me in uniform, in a Space Force uniform, they're like, oh, have you been to space? Like, when's the last time you've been to space? There's actually very few operators that do go to space.
Dude, it's funny he says that because the landing was actually fucking fake! And pigeons are fake!
Lucky for them, what we do is operate all of our assets within space.
The Space Force is constantly growing and evolving. On August 4th, 2022, right before our visit to Buckley, the Space Force launched GEO-6, the sixth SBIRS geosynchronous Earth orbit satellite, into space.
That's fucking
Our
sick.
success is not so much what we do to an adversary. Our success is more measured in terms of what an adversary does not do to us because we stand guard.
This job is 24/7. It is something that is necessary, and our mission does not stop no matter what.
How copy? This is Vortex out.
All right, there's a couple things I took from this. One, Space Force is badass. We're gonna stop clowning on them so much. No more memes about Space Force. Otherwise, you're gonna have to face me, the final Space Force protector of Space Protectors. Second, Colonel Cruz has such a good reading voice. This man should get out and narrate stuff for the rest of his life. Although when he gets out, he'll probably just make six figures off his retirement check alone. No incentive to actually get a job, but if he were, it'd be narration. And the third is Private Sharpie or whatever. She was the badass female at the end. Please message me so I can get that patch. Trade cool patches with me, Sharpie.